Down and in. Begin.
Hello and welcome to our videotape on sparring and battle techniques. My name is Philip Holder. I'm the Chief Instructor and Grandmaster of North American Wing Chun Association and Philip Holder's Combat Martial Arts. On this videotape we're going to be covering from a Wing Chun perspective the different aspects of fighting and the different training methods that you need to be a proficient fighter according to the way Wing Chun teaches. We're going to be going over the 5 stages of combat, the 6 gates, redirection and deflection, how to create access angles to your opponent. We're also going to be covering training methods in the gym, how to properly use a bag, proper training methods for sparring. We're also going to deal with the stress factor involved in creating a situation that's very close to street combat. This is the purpose of contact sparring. In contact sparring, you not only have to understand depth and penetration, but you're also putting yourself into a stress situation, and you must function appropriately within that stress situation. That's a very important part of contact sparring. So during the course of this video, pay attention not only to the techniques and applications we show you, but more importantly to the concepts and principles that they're based on, and hopefully that will make you a better fighter. One important thing to remember in sparring is if you do it safely, you'll be able to continue your workouts day after day. If you're injured, it's going to interrupt your training time and it's not going to make you a more successful fighter. So you should always wear the proper safety gear. I recommend headgear, a chest protector, 14-ounce or greater boxing gloves, foot pads and shin pads, and always a mouthpiece. The reason for the body protector is in the Wing Chun system, you learn to develop kicks and punches that incorporate your whole body into the hit. And that develops a tremendous amount of power, and it'd be very easy to break someone's ribs or damage someone. So the body protector becomes important. A lot of people don't like to wear a lot of gear because it becomes hot and they tend to burn out a little faster, but you're going to burn out much faster if you're in the hospital than if you're geared up properly. So always make sure you're wearing the proper gear when you spar. If you're injured, you're simply going to lose valuable training time, and that's not going to help you. One principle within the Wing Chun fighting system is the idea of 5 elements of combat. These 5 elements help you to break down any combat situation into a situation that's more understandable. We can dissect the fight situation. Let me explain to you the 5 elements of combat. From this position, neither one of us can engage the other party because there's too much distance between us. So one of us has to enter. We call this the entry stage. So as he enters and punches, I intercept his punch. This position is called the contact stage. Now, upon contact, we're going to begin to exchange application. This is the exchange stage. Now, if my Kung Fu or fighting skills are better than my opponent's, then what he will need to do if he doesn't want to get knocked out or injured is retreat. So as he retreats, I'm going to pursue and continue to pursue until I take my opponent out, thereby keeping him from coming back and doing further harm to me or launching a second attack against me. So the 5 stages or elements of combat are entry, contact, exchange, retreat, and pursuit. The benefit of understanding these 5 stages is now when we practice, the elements involved in fighting can be broken down so that the training process never escalates into a fight. For instance, if we want to practice simply the contact and exchange, we can go from here and then allow him to do the same. And in this way, the training process never escalates into a sparring situation. You can train a specific area that you're looking to train without having to fight every time you get together. When you fight, your tendency is to only use what you know best simply because you're trying to protect yourself so much. So you don't want to fight all the time to train fighting. You need to break it down into situations that are more easily understandable. So anything less than the 5 elements, if you do 1, 2, 3, or 4, you can prevent it from escalating into a fight and keep the focus on the aspect of training that you're trying to work on. So remember that. That's very important when you're structuring your training program. Another principle in the Wing Chun fighting system is the idea of the center line and the radial positioning area. Let me explain what the center line and radial positioning area is. In front of your body, your center line is both your area of greatest power and also greatest vulnerability, because along your center line lay all the vital striking points. Your lead knee tends to be close to the center line. You have the bridge of the nose, above the lip, the throat, the solar plexus, groin, all along the center line. But it's also the area that you can generate the most energy down. The radial positioning area is an area approximately 40-45 degrees off each side of that center, depending on the person. It varies slightly from person to person. But this area is the area within which all Wing Chun application takes place. The center line is the middle line of that infinite number of lines within the radial positioning area. So as this man stands facing you, his center line is projecting straight out from his body, and the radial positioning area comes out on an angle slightly larger than 40 degrees on each side. Now these are points of reference. They're not fighting applications. They're not to be used in terms of technique. They're merely points of reference where you can judge, is your strongest point facing your opponent and is his strongest point facing away from you. Let me illustrate what I mean by this. If I face my opponent straight on, our strongest areas are facing each other. So if I attack him or he attacks me, then we just see who has the strongest jaw, because we're both fighting down our area of most power. If I want to turn the advantage to myself, and remember in the Wing Chun fighting system, the idea is that your opponent will always be bigger, stronger, faster, and we're going to assume some knowledge on his part. Therefore, I don't want to fight him from a standpoint of power or force. I want to get off of his force and fight him in a situation that benefits me. So as he attacks, I can sidestep the force, and now he's on my center line. I have the point of contact on my center line, and he's within my radial positioning area. So when you're working on your applications, you can ask yourself, am I off of his center line? Am I off of his radial positioning area? And is he within mine? If all those criteria are met, then we're fine. If I step too far, I don't have an efficient angle. So I need to take the smallest angle that will work. In this way, you can use your radial positioning area and center line as points of reference to gain a position of advantage. They're points of reference only, and you use them to dissect your position and see if you're positioning your body appropriately. You'll notice here that we're facing each other center line to center line pretty much. Our center lines are a little off of each other, but basically we're straight on. So if either one of us attack, we have to deal with the full power of the other person's attack. In order to avoid that, I need to step to the side, but the mistake most often made is people take too big of an angle. If I step too big, then I leave myself open to this side, plus I lose perspective of the other hand. So this leaves me in a position where I can be attacked around the back door. The proper angle is to be as close to a 180-degree angle to the attack as possible. It's impossible to get 180 because we will collide straight on, but to step slightly off that angle. Now if you notice, my center line is facing the point of contact, which is right here. My opponent is totally within my radial positioning area. His center line is pointing out this way, and I'm totally outside of his radial positioning area. This gives me the benefit of the angle of deflection and allows me to come in from the attacker's blind side. This is the safest position for me to be in because I'm also away from the free hand. So when you take your angles, take the smallest angle that will work.